Hello and welcome to Look East. Our top story tonight, the end of the search for Corrie McCaig. 20 weeks after teams of police began searching a rubbish landfill site for the body of the missing airman, they say they have to give up. In this special programme, the questions raised by today's news. We take a closer look at the police investigation and hear from experts who believe serious mistakes were made.
There was a vehicle that his phone was at least a reasonable information that his phone was on. Well, if his phone's on there, he's likely to be on there. Extremely likely to be on there. And it wouldn't have taken Einstein to have worked that out. This is Keystone Cop stuff, this is.
I'm reporting live from Suffolk Police Headquarters, where I've been putting some of those points to the investigating officer. You said you knew the area you were searching.
Yes.
Then you extended the search, so you didn't know the area.
We did know the area that we were searching with the information.
So why did you extend the search?
With the information that we had at the time, we searched a very specific area which had dated waste in it from Bury St Edmunds with the dates of the relevant times.
And of course, at the centre of it all, Corrie's heartbroken mother.
I don't think there's any mother in the world, any parent in the world that doesn't want their children to be loved and adored and liked by people, by everyone. And to see people care about my son as much as I do, it means a lot.
So, the search for missing airman Corrie McCaig is over. It's one of the most baffling missing person cases to have happened in our region. In the next half an hour, we'll have special coverage of today's decision to call off the search. The development came this afternoon at a news conference called by Suffolk Police.
The search of Milton landfill site in Cambridgeshire to find anything related to the disappearance of missing Corrie McCaig will be completed this afternoon. Our thoughts are with Corrie's family, as we had hoped that this search would have provided them with the answers about what happened to him.
Well, this extraordinary story all began 10 months ago. Corrie McCaig disappeared in the early hours of September the 24th after a night out in Bury St Edmunds, last seen in a loading bay lined with dustbins. One of those bins was emptied into a refuse lorry very soon after. 2 days later, Corrie was reported missing. CCTV was released showing him alone in Bury Town Centre. And on October the 3rd, Corrie's mother made her first public appeal for information. The next day, police announced a signal from his mobile phone had been picked up at Barton Mills at the same time the bin lorry had been there. But it wasn't until March this year that the search of the landfill site at Milton began, and that has lasted for 20 weeks. Corrie's mother, Nicola, is with us in the studio to give us her reaction to the police announcement. But first, let's cross to Milton, near Cambridge, where the search has been taking place. Alex Dunlop is there. Alex, have they actually stopped searching now?
Yes, Susie, they have officially stopped the search 3.5 hours ago. The officers have packed up and left here now for the last time. I've also just heard in the last few minutes that police have now officially handed the site back to the owners. Now, that'll be particularly devastating for Corrie McCaig's family because it means they can now start to fill in this massive 4,000-metre squared crater just over the horizon there. Now, this has been a long, fraught, expensive investigation. The police were criticised for not searching this landfill sooner. They're criticised again for giving up that 20-week search. I think the senior officer of this investigation summed it up today when she said, effectively, for all parties, this is bitterly disappointing. Well, I've been looking back over the last 10 months to see how we got here. This is the area where Corrie McCaig simply vanished. For those who knew him, for the many thousands who came to know of him, one image will last in their memories, that of a vulnerable young man caught on camera here in the centre of Bury St Edmunds, ambling into a dead end. It was the last time he was seen alive. Corrie's sudden disappearance seemed sinister. It's feared he ended up in one of these bins and was then transported to this landfill where it's thought his remains are still somewhere buried. He walked down here on his own Last year, I retraced Corrie's last steps on BBC Look East's live Facebook page. Many of you asked online, why would police not search that landfill? After all, their best lead, his mobile phone, had been traced from Bury along the bin lorry route towards Barton Mills. The rubbish was then taken to a waste transfer station at Red Lodge and then onto the landfill at Milton. This former detective says that was a missed opportunity.
There was a vehicle that reasonable information that his phone was on. Well, if his phone's on there, he's likely to be on there. Extremely likely to be on there. And it wouldn't have taken Einstein to have worked that out. This is Keystone Cop stuff, this is.
But Suffolk police had been told the bin was too light to contain a body, and so they focused their search in the countryside between Bury and RAF Honington. They also trawled through hours of CCTV. Corrie's mother, Nicola, had also been assured that there was no way a body could get through the sorting process.
That sounds to me, unfortunately, like a lack of expertise. And had it not been for Nicola being a police officer, driving the case forward, one wonders where it will be now. So I think things have been missed.
Suffolk police say such criticisms are made with the benefit of hindsight, not with the knowledge of the investigation team. But if Corrie is still in this landfill, how could that have happened? Across the UK, 11 people have been killed in the past 6 years because of sleeping in bins. This man was lucky. He was spotted before the rubbish was crushed in a lorry. The waste firm Biffa, which collected the bin from Bury, didn't want to comment. A separate waste firm, Bywaters, showed me how their operation works.
It's all dry and it looks clean to me.
It's standard procedure to check bins on collection and again when the contents enter the back of the refuse lorry. Victor showed me what happens to the waste.
That actually cuts into the rubbish.
Within seconds, it's crushed as it enters the compactor.
There's no escaping from that. Once that blade comes down, that's it. That person's going to disappear inside that dust cart.
You'd have thought there'd be a very strong forensic trail.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, even the forensic trail within the back of the dust cart. You know, a human body contains, obviously, liquids, and that should be actually in the vehicle, if that was the case, yeah.
Police say the lorry was forensically searched and there was no trace of Corrie. Then in March they revealed that the bin emptied into it weighed not 11 kilograms but 116 kilograms, heavy enough to contain a body.
The people within the company that gave us the data initially interpreted it wrong for us. We sent detectives back and spoke to different people within the organisation in order to get that information, and I'm comfortable that we did that as quickly and as diligently as we could do.
But why did that take 5 months?
That will record everything that goes in.
At Bywaters, every bin is automatically weighed and sent to a central computer.
You can see that in this day it was much less collected, around 500 kilos less.
And all the weights for each container in that column?
Yeah, and I can filter by specific data.
Mike can tell me where a bin was collected, exactly how much it weighed, and in a format I could understand. We don't know whether Biffa have a similar system.
If I was to ask you the weight of a specific bin on a specific day, how quickly could you find that information?
Well, if it's a very urgent, prioritized request, then it would just take me a matter of minutes as long as I have the access to the account.
From the bins at Bury St Edmunds, to the waste landfill station at Red Lodge, to the landfill at Milton, a litany of questions. Should the search here have been done at the outset? Police acknowledge that Corrie's remains may still rest here amidst the refuse. If so, this young airman's family may never know how he died. Alex Dunlop, BBC Look East.
So, a lot of questions. What have the police got to say? Earlier, the detective in charge of the investigation held a news conference at Force headquarters at Martlesham near Ipswich. Stuart is there now. Stuart.
Susie, yes, if we came here expecting some answers, then we were disappointed. We heard a great deal about how much soil had been moved and how hard the police searching the landfill site had worked, but we didn't actually discover what they think has happened to Corrie McCaig. And I put it to the detective who's been leading the inquiry, Detective Superintendent Katie Eliot, that when I saw her in March, she was confident that Corrie's body would be found in the landfill.
That's right. I had every confidence that we were going to find Corrie in the landfill site. the circumstances that led us to the landfill site haven't actually changed. So the investigation that led us there showed us that we couldn't see Corrie leaving the horseshoe area on CCTV. There were no witnesses that had seen Corrie, no indication of any foul play at that time. And indeed, we then had the bin lorry weight that was heavier and the phone tracking at the same time. None of that information has changed to date. In fact, it's probably been strengthened by the information that we've got that Corrie has been known to sleep in waste.
Can I just ask you a couple of other things? You said you knew the area you were searching.
Yes.
Then you extended the search, so you didn't know the area.
We did know the area that we were searching with the information.
So why did you extend the search?
With the information that we had at the time, we searched a very specific area which had dated waste in it from Bury St Edmunds with the dates of the relevant times.
His mother says that he would not have slept in rubbish. So who's telling you that he would?
We've got reliable information within the investigation of a witness who's found him.
One witness?
Somebody that has found him asleep in rubbish, and other people that he has told that he's slept in waste. He's been known to sleep on park benches, in toilets, in stairways.
Those are very different from sleeping in rubbish bins, though, aren't they?
They are, but we tally that together with the other information that we have within the investigation.
His mother is wrong to say that he would not sleep in rubbish.
I'm not saying that his mother is wrong. We don't know the circumstances. We haven't been able to find Corrie, so we don't understand the full circumstances.
Do you feel that you have failed Corrie McCaig and his mother and family, personally?
I feel that we have pursued every line of inquiry within this investigation.
But you followed those lines very late in the day, didn't you? Especially the rubbish line.
No, I don't think we did follow it late in the day. We followed the priority lines of inquiry as they presented and as we followed the evidence. So at the outset, the strongest...
But you had no evidence to say that he'd gone anywhere.
At the outset of the investigation, the strongest hypothesis was that Corrie would have tried to walk home, and that was the focus of the investigation at that time. As the investigation progressed, we gained more information that led us to believe that he could have been in the bin that was collected on the night that he left. Now, we had that waste preserved on the landfill site, and no further waste was added to it. So I'm confident that
the waste was moved. So the site was not left as it was on that night, was it? Otherwise, you wouldn't have extended your search area. You said that the waste gets moved around.
The waste gets moved around as it's added into the cell area. So as waste is tipped into the cell area,
so it wasn't a protected area. If it's being moved, it's not protected, is it?
On any day that waste is deposited into the site, it's deposited in and then it's moved. And so it's not that it was moved after the time that it was secured.
But you don't feel you failed, Nicola?
I feel that we've done everything that we could to try and find Corrie, and our next step now is to have this review done by an external force to see if there's anything else, any other possible line of inquiry that could give Corrie's family those answers.
So, Stuart, were there questions about this being a criminal investigation?
There was a question from me to her about that, and she said, no, it will not be a criminal investigation now, which leaves you wondering exactly what they think has happened. Do they think that Corrie maybe wandered off, as was the thought at the beginning of this investigation, that maybe he's wandered off and had fallen into a ditch or something like that? I get the feeling that the police here still believe that his body is in that Milton landfill site somewhere, but they don't know where. And that actually goes to the heart of their search.
Stuart, thank you. Well, Corrie's mother, Nicola Orchid, is here with me now. First of all, your reaction to this news. I know you must be very disappointed.
Disappointed doesn't come close, Susie. I'm so angry. I'm beyond devastated that they've misled me, that my sons, our family, have all believed that this would come to a natural end of either they find Corrie in the landfill or they can then tell us he's not there. It was only on Wednesday that they told me they were going to do a press release and they would be saying, we think he's still in there, but we're not searching anymore. And that's not what they've told the press today, but that is what they've told me. They've implied it to the press today, but they still believe Corrie's there, but they're not searching anymore. So they're equally not doing anything else either.
How does it make you feel to think that he may still be there and never be found?
I can live with Corrie never being found. Any parent would just find a way of coping with that and dealing with that. But that's on the back of knowing that everything has been done to try and find them. People go missing and just don't get found. So I would find a way of dealing with that. When the detective inspector on this case turns round and says to me, I still believe he's in that stinking heap and we're not going to look for him. They told us at the beginning they were searching the landfill. They lied. They weren't searching the landfill. They were searching an area of the landfill. It's not a time to be economical with your words. It's not a time to try and mislead people. It's about honesty and trying to gain trust. I do not want to be anybody that criticises the police ever. But what they've done is wrong. They've misled me. They've let me believe that we would come to the end of the search of the landfill and they would either find Corrie or they wouldn't. And what they told me was, if we do not find Corrie before in this landfill, this will then move to a criminal investigation. Is that why they've stopped?
Is that what you would like, a criminal investigation?
It's not what I want, but that's what they told me. So that's what the police believed, that if Corrie isn't in this landfill, if they don't find him, that this would then start looking like a criminal investigation, and that's how they would then pursue it. So is this why they've stopped now? Just before they find him, that's why they've stopped, because they don't know, they don't have another positive line of inquiry. They have nowhere else to look in their minds. I have loads of things that I want them to look at, but they have nowhere in their minds where they want to look, so they just don't know what to do. So it's easier to say, we think he's still in there and we're not going to do anything else. Why waste £1 million searching if you're not going to finish it?
Nicola, we're going to talk more later in the programme. But, of course, what this is all about is Cory, a 23-year-old man with a big personality, very loved by his family and friends. Because of their extraordinary efforts, his story became known nationally and even internationally. Let's find out more now about Cory himself.
I know about popular.
This is Cory, the way his family knew and loved him. This is how his mum Nicola would like us all to have known him. A funny, outgoing, live-in-the-moment kind of man who just wanted to be loved.
I think the video that I put up of Cory sitting in the back garden singing, I want to be popular, that just sums that boy up completely. He did want to be popular, and he most certainly is now.
When Cory went missing, his family knew instantly that something was wrong, as they were all so close. Disappearing was totally out of character.
Because we spoke 4 times, previous to even to the point of him just going out, I couldn't actually say how good the conversation was.
Cory, he's so connected to his family, to his brothers, to his friends. Even if he had done something daft on a night out or just needed a few days away to clear his head because of something. If any of those things were true, it's still exceptionally unlikely that he'd do that without calling one of his brothers.
At RAF Honington, there was also dismay and disbelief. Cory was known to all, even the station commander.
This is obviously very funny, and he was really playing to the audience. I remember going up to him and his friends, actually, and I think they were just about to go out for a night out, and I said to him, you're wasted in the Royal Air Force, you actually need to go on stage. And he laughed, and we had a bit of a joke about what he might do on the stage, and then they went out for the night, and that's the last time I spoke to him.
Soon, Cory's face was all over town and all over the internet as his family harnessed the power of social media to help find him. A crowdfunding page to pay for a private investigation reached its target in one day. The Find Cory Facebook page has 120,000 members, most of whom never met Cory in person.
2 weeks in, I helped hand out posters. Nicola, McKean and Derek all came down and, just said thank you to everybody that was helping to spread awareness. Obviously got to know Nicola and the boys quite well and have been helping just with sort of technical things. And he seems to have captured the nation's heart. I think, people far and wide, it's not just the Bury St Edmunds community, it's national, worldwide even.
Such a high public profile can come at a price. Amid scrutiny of Corrie's personal life, his family contacted Look East in January to reveal a very private matter. His girlfriend was expecting his baby.
He was just the sweetest, outgoing person I've ever known. And he would literally do anything for you. He bought me roses on our first sort of date as such. And yeah, he was just lovely. I've never known anybody to be like him.
Corrie never knew he was to be a father. He never knew that millions knew his name or that his story was one of the most viewed on the BBC's website. It seems the support couldn't save him, but for his mother, it's been a lifeline.
I don't think there's any parent in the world that doesn't want their children to be loved and adored and liked by people, by everyone. And to see people care about my son as much as I do, it means a lot.
Well, Nicola, those pictures of Corrie, that video of Corrie, which you very kindly shared with us, shared with the public, in the hope of finding him, can you look at that and still enjoy seeing him the way you knew him?
The video of him singing, I've obviously got the full video, and it still just melts my heart. It makes me smile inside every time I watch it, but when I see everything you've just done, no, it does. I try to stay very focused and not get emotional about it, because it doesn't help. But no, that's hard to watch.
And I know that all the way through you've tried to stay positive, tried to stay focused, but are you now at the stage of being able to accept that he's not going to come back?
No, absolutely not. Not that he's not going to come back, but that he's not going to be found. I can't just accept that that's it, the police are packing the bags up and going home now. I spoke to the group captain at Honington today, and the police have never even asked them officially to help search at the landfill. They've never. I understand that it's got to go for ministerial approval, and they might not be able to do it, but they've not even asked. They've not asked Salsa if they would help. There's still things that could be done. They can't close that landfill, give it back and fill it in. So no, just now I can't accept that that's it. I'm just going to pack up and go home and just try and get on with my life, because enough hasn't been done.
For 10 months, you and your family have been going back and forth from Suffolk to Scotland, and very disruptive to your life. How has that affected you as a family?
We've managed okay. It's been difficult at times, but my work have been amazing in the support that they've given me. So I have probably the least issues, but the boys, their works, they've been really understanding. But we have tried. I mean, I've pretty much worked all the way through this, but just I've really reduced my hours. The boys have tried to continue working. We've tried to keep some kind of normality going, just because we felt that was the right thing to do. But we've managed with it. We've bawled our eyes out, we've cried, but we've laughed and we've enjoyed ourselves as well. So we are doing okay.
And April has had her baby.
She has, yeah.
And has that brought you some joy?
Yes, I've got nanny duty tomorrow night. I'll be looking after her. She's adorable. It's always been really difficult to deal with emotionally up until Ellie arrived, but now that she's here and she's a real little person, it is just a blessing. And so it's just something, it does take time to get your head around it, because you're so upset one minute, but no, it is just something that we've got a lovely future to look forward to with her.
Nicola, thank you so much for talking to us. Well, let's get some final thoughts now from our Suffolk reporter Kevin Birch, who is in Bury St Edmunds. And Kevin, how would you sum up the mood there tonight?
Well, very sombre. People have been coming up to us today when this news broke. Shoppers, tourists, the guy selling ice creams, all of them know the story intimately, all of them really saddened. But remember, this has been a key part of their lives for the past 10 months, many of them every day walked past the spot he was last seen. There are posters. There's one here. There's another one here. They're plastered all over the town. These are daily reminders of the mystery and the disappearance. Social media too. I mean, huge momentum there. The family worked really hard to keep the story very high profile on social media. And tonight you could read out hundreds of messages. Let's pick just 3 from Twitter. Alison Grant says, heartbreaking. Why stop now? If so, sure he's there. Mads, so very sad. The whole situation is just tragic. Thoughts to Cory McCaig's family. And from Jane, she says, never give up. He is out there.
And you've covered this story from the beginning, Kevin. Are you surprised at the way this has ended?
Oh, I think it's surprised everybody, hasn't it? I think everybody thought at the start he would go missing for a few days. He was somewhere. He would come back, but of course that never happened. I remember Nicola's 4 words, my son has disappeared. She said it, such simplicity, but such bewilderment in her eyes. I remember his grandfather, Oliver, coming down, tears in his eyes as he said his big worry was he'd never see Corrie again. And I remember Corrie's father, Martin, when we were filming, handing out leaflets, he just broke down sobbing. All I could do was hug him. I think the whole thing then became overwhelming. They are the powerful images which will stick in my mind.
Kevin, thank you very much. Let's get the weather now with Julie.
Susie, thanks very much. Well, 2 nesting grebe in the sunshine today, which took sunshine temperatures up to 22 degrees Celsius, which is 72 degrees Fahrenheit. We've had a few showers around, but it has been largely dry. But to the west, this weather front pushing towards us, producing some torrential downpours, and they are now heading in our direction. But that front is weakening, so although that rain will probably turn heavy at times as it moves around,